Hey YouTube, it's Shannon with another Excel tutorial, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use different depreciation methods on Excel with Excel's formulas. And come on, let's get it started. It's just a quick review on depreciation. Depreciation is basically just allocating the cost of an asset over a specific period of time. No one wants to deduct this whole expense, when you're using it over a period of time, which is why people came up with this method of depreciation. So there are three components to depreciation: the cost or the purchase price of that asset, the salvage value, which is just the worth or the value of this asset at the end of its useful life, and the useful life, which is basically the amount of years. How long are you going to be using this equipment in your business structure? So there are three main types of depreciation methods, and as you can see, I have them all lined up here. It's going to be straight line, double declining, and sum of years digits. Straight line is definitely more widely used than the other two, but I do want to include double declining and sum of years digits just because there are still going to be accounting homework problems, I know, on these different depreciation methods. And then of course I'll talk to you about mid-year when we get there. So let's go ahead and get started and get right to it. The abbreviation for straight line depreciation is going to be SLN, and there are only three parts to this formula, guys. It's so simple. It's just going to be the cost, the salvage value, and the useful life of this asset. So I'm going to go ahead and for our example, we have a truck. The cost of it is $25,000. The salvage value is $2,500, and the useful life is for 3 years. So we're going to first of all do our cost, which is $25,000. I'm going to go ahead and lock in all these for you. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the salvage value, which is next. Lock that cell in, and then the useful life, and lock that in. Now for straight line, you should get the same amount of depreciation for every year, and it should equate back to the difference between the cost of the equipment and the salvage value, which in our case should be, and I'll show you what it is, $22,500. And that's going to be our total depreciation expense over the course of 3 years. That's when you know you've done your depreciation right, when you've got the difference between the cost and the salvage value. Now moving on to double declining. Double declining is definitely an accelerated depreciation method. You recapture most of your depreciation within the first couple of years of your depreciation schedule. And I'm going to show you what happens when you use this method. So nothing special with this method again. There's only one extra part in it, and I'm going to show you guys what that is. So for this abbreviation for double declining, it's going to be DDB. Going to go ahead, do your parentheses, and of course your first three are going to be your cost, which is our $25,000, which is going to be your salvage value next, which is going to be $2,500 for us, and then your useful life, which is 3 years. But then there's going to be one part where it says period, and the period essentially is just saying what year are you depreciating this amount for. So of course in our case for year 1, we're going to put 1 as our period, and then that's what we're going to get for our first year. Now the reason why, like I said, you should go ahead and lock these cells is that way you can copy them down, and all you have to do is change the period number. So instead of a 1 for year 2, you're going to put 2, and then instead of, you're going to put year 3 for period 3. And then guess what? That gets us back to our $22,500. So we know that these two are right for our depreciation schedule. Now sum of years digits, that's a whole lot harder to explain, but once you use it on Excel, you'll never have to basically do it again on paper, which is really annoying, done on paper. So again, nothing special here, you guys. You're just going to do for abbreviation SYD, and then, it's going to be, again, your cost, your salvage value, and your life, and it's going to ask you for the period or what year you're trying to depreciate. So I'm just going to go ahead, add all this in very quickly, because by this time you should know, what we're doing. And then we're going to do that for period 1, and then I'm just going to copy it down, and instead I'm going to change it to 2. I didn't lock a cell, and that's when you know, guys, something is up, is when you haven't locked a cell. So, oh, I see what I did. It should be 6. So there we go, and then I'm just going to copy that down, and instead of a 2, I'm going to put a 3, and that gets us back to our 22.5, guys. So that's when you know, again, that you have done everything right. Now, going into mid-year is not going to come out exactly as perfectly as these 3 because of rounding issues and things of that nature. But basically all mid-year is saying is, in that first year that you buy your equipment, you know, you're not going to buy it on January 1st and, you know, every single year. Sometimes you're going to buy equipment in March. Sometimes you're going to buy equipment in June. Well, with depreciation, you can only depreciate the amount where you purchased in the month that you purchased that equipment to the end of that calendar year. So in our example, I'm going to say that we purchased our truck in March. So we're only going to depreciate starting in March, from March all the way to December. So for mid-year, it's going to get a tiny bit complicated, but not too much. You guys are pretty smart, so you know you can hang out on in there. So the abbreviation for mid-year is just going to be DB. And of course, our first 3, of course, are going to be the cost of the equipment, which is going to be $25,000 again. Our salvage value, our useful life, and then period, which is again what year you're depreciating. So we're going to put 1. And then our last part of this entry, or part of this formula, is going to ask for the month. Now this is saying how many months out of the year are we depreciating this equipment. In our example, since we bought the equipment in March, we're going to be depreciating it for 10 months in that first year. And you're going to hit enter. And then for year 2 and year 3, you're going to do the same exact thing, except for you're going to depreciate it for over the course of 12 months. And I'm going to go ahead and just copy that down for 2, and I'll just show you what I'm going to do. That's going to be a 2, and because I didn't lock this cell, that's why I'm having all these issues right now. I told you locking a cell is essential. As you can see, I'm having a lot of issues with mine. And then I'm just going to put year 2 and year 3. Now, you're going to have an extra year because think about it. You only depreciated your equipment in that first year for 10 months. In that last year, which is essentially the 4th year, you're going to have to depreciate for those last 2 months to be able to fully depreciate the cost of your asset. So for the 4th year, we're going to put equals DB, and hey, we're going to do it again, the cost, the salvage value, and the life. And then for period, we're going to put 4 because this is technically going to be year 4. And then instead, how many months do we have left to depreciate? Well, we have 2 months left to depreciate in this case, because again, in our first year, we took 10 months of a partial depreciation, which means in our last year, we're only going to take 2 months to depreciate this cost of this equipment. So for month, we're only going to put 2, and we can go ahead and hit enter. And like I said, it's not going to come out perfectly because of, again, rounding issues, and it's a pretty ugly number for this situation. But you're going to get pretty close. You know, I'm at 22,458. So there it is, you guys. There are the different depreciation schedules that you can use for your homework instead of wasting paper. Let me know if I can help improve, or if you have any questions that need to be answered. I would be happy to help you guys. I'm all about helping you guys, understanding everything. And thanks for listening. This is Shannon signing off.